So let's go to our web browser again, and this time we are going to navigate to console.firebase.com. And if you don't have an account yet, you can just create one, or if you are logged in with your Google account, it's going to log you in automatically. And here you can create different projects. You can see the recent projects that you have. If you are here first time, you just see this thing here. So what we are going to do is we're going to create a project, and then I'm going to walk you through what you need and why we are using the Firebase for. The project name, I'm going to call it Let's Meet. Just click continue. I'm going to disable Google Analytics because it's not really required for our course. It will take some time to create our project. Okay, we just click continue, and it will take you to the project. So here you have your project, and on the left side you have all these different menus. But right now what we're interested in, this is just a project. It's not for iPhone, not for Android or for anything. It just gives you the main project. So in order to create a specific project inside your main project, you can have different applications here. So now we are going to create an application for iOS inside this project. And in order to do that, you just click to add an iOS project. And here it asks us the iOS bundle identifier. And if you remember, when we were checking out our Xcode, when you click on the top name of the project, here you have this bundle identifier. Just copy this, come here and paste it. And application nickname and App Store ID, these are optional, so we're not going to do that. You just click register. It will take some time to register the application and prepare a Google Info plist file, which we have to download and put it into our project. So I'm going to just click download. It will download it, and then I'm going to go back to my Xcode, and there are two ways of adding a file to your Xcode project. The first one is just drag and drop from your download folder to your file library here. But the better way to do that is to go to File, and then you say Add File to the project, and here you will see your project name. I'm going to select my info.plist file, and once I select this and add a new file, it's going to go underneath the currently selected file. So I'm going to say add a new file, and then I'm going to navigate to my downloads folder, choose the Google Services info plist file, and make sure it says copy items if needed. If you don't see this menu, you just have to click the options, and it will show you the current option to tick it. Once you have ticked copy items if needed, you just click add, and there you go, you have your Google Info plist, which just has some application details and URLs that it helps our application to connect to the Firebase. So once we have this, I'm going to jump to my Firebase again. And one very important thing, I mean, if you go to download this file again, or same file for a different project, because this comes with fixed name Google Services info.plist, even if you create a new project and you download it, it's going to add the number next to it if you already have a same folder in your downloads location. So make sure that the file you import has this name. It doesn't have any extra numbers in brackets inside. If it does, you just edit it by tapping on it and remove the number next to it. Otherwise, it's not going to recognize the file and it's not going to work. So once you have downloaded and added it to your project, you can just click next, And then it tells us how to install Firebase through Cocoapods. So if you don't know what Cocoapods are, or you don't have them on your current machine, don't worry, this we are going to do in our next lecture. We're going to install them. And using the Cocoapods, we can easily get third-party libraries added to our current project. So you just click next here, and then it asks how to initialize the application. It has an Objective-C and Swift language options, and it tells us that in app delegate we're going to import Firebase, and then we are going to configure our Firebase. So these are the two lines we need. But before you can do that, you need to install the Cocoapods, Firebase through Cocoapods on your project. So click next. It will say that everything is done. You have all the ticks, and it says ready to get started for iOS. We just click continue, and you can see now we have this iOS project here. You can add any other projects if you want for Android or Unity or web, etc., or even another iOS application here. But this is not what we need. What we are interested in is now this top area here that we are going to mainly work with. So the Firebase is a cloud database which gives us a lot of things that we can use for our projects. For example, a user authentication. It gives us database. And we have the file storage system. You can upload your big files like photos, videos, audio, etc. And then you can save the links in your database in order to access them later. Then you have this hosting, which we're not going to use. Actually, we're going to use these three parts here: authentication, database, and storage. And also, if you scroll down, you are going to find more things here. And under the grow, we have, let's see, this cloud messaging part. And this is used to send push notifications. And we're going to use our push notifications in order to notify user when they receive a new message from other users. So this one we are going to leave for later part, and mainly we are going to focus on these three areas here. Apart from that, you can see a project overview, and there is this gear button here which takes you to the project settings. So if you come to the project settings, you can see the project name, the web key. This will be used for our cloud messaging, which are tabs here. You can see on top. But what we need now is the general tab. I'm going to show how this works. If you want to remove the current application, you can remove it from here. This is the application inside the project. Remember, you can have multiple applications in the project, or you can delete the project altogether by clicking the button here. You can see how many applications you have on the left side, and in case if you want to download the Google Services info.plist file, you can do it from here. So on top here, you can move to cloud messaging, and here you have your server key, which is going to be needed in order to send messages. Apart from that, you will need a certificate, APNS certificate from Apple. And for this to work, you have to have a paid developer license from Apple, which is $99 per year. So if you don't have that, you can still continue with the course. It's just the push notification part of the course will not work. That's why I'm going to leave the push notifications part at the end of the course, so all the students can follow the course together. And once you decided to continue and get on the developer license, you can also implement the push notification part. You can still write the code, everything you can do, but the push notifications are not going to arrive to your device unless you have these certificates in place. And we have other parts like integration. This is more like a marketing thing, which we are not going to get into it. We're going to use the cloud messaging and the general part under the settings. Moving to authentication, these are the ways that the user is going to sign in to our project. So we are going to use the authentication from Firebase, which is quite handy. They are providing a lot of background work for us, so we are going to do only the front end, and they are also going to keep track of the users. If the user already exists, it's not going to allow it to register. So everything this is done in the background. I'm going to click on Setup Sign-in Methods, and you can see what options the Firebase gives us in order to authenticate our user. Email, phone, Google account, Google Play, Game Center, Facebook, Twitter, GitHub, Yahoo, Microsoft. This is Apple, and also you can have anonymous login. For the purpose of our application, we're going to use email and password, and pay attention, by default the status for all of them are disabled. So we are going to click on this pencil here. I'm going to enable this, and also there is an option to send like a password sign in. So this is like your user doesn't have password, and every time he wants to sign in, he will get an email with a one-time password, which is not what we want. We just want to user have his own password. So now I have enabled the email and password sign in, and you have this template section here. This is the default email that your user receives, that welcome to whatever application is. These auto reply emails that you have, you usually get from different applications when you sign up. Also, you have the password reset email, the email address change, etc. So here you can like create your template and tell your user whatever you want in the text that the automatically generated email will be sent. The usage here, it shows how many times you have server call sent from your device. We're not going to get into this either. So if you click on the users now, you can see that currently we have no users. You can add user by email and password, but we're not going to do that because the users will be created only from our iOS application, which will be running on the simulator or on the device that you want. Moving to database section, let's talk about the database. It's called Cloud FireStore. You are going to click Create Database because by default it doesn't have a database. And the first thing it will ask you what rules you want your database to have. The standard production mode is, you can see here, allow read and write if else. So in other words, what this means is anyone with a link to the database can read and write to the database. Or you can click like start in test mode, and this will allow read and write, and it gives you I think 1 month, 30 days with these current settings. So after 30 days your access to the database will be blocked for all the users unless you go and change your rules of accessing the database. What I'm going to do is just click on the start production mode. So this gives us full access, and once we finish our development, because for some students it may take longer than 30 days to complete the course, and I don't want them to get to lose the access to the database if they forget to change these rules. So just click the standard, click next, and this is going to be giving us a warning because our client FireStore is the rules are not very secure. Also, you can choose your region where the servers are, and also the warning says that you cannot change the server after you have set it up. So I'm going to choose the closest server next to my place, which I'm in Europe. I'm going to choose Europe West. Just click done. It will take some time to create our Cloud FireStore database. And the way the Cloud FireStore works, imagine it's like a folder in folder hierarchy. So you have your collections, which are the main folder, then you have documents, which are files inside the collections, but you can have this hierarchy as you want. So you can get started with the collection, And once we get start working with the database, you can see how the hierarchy works. And in case if you want to change the rules, you can just click on the database and then rules on the top, and it says read and write if false. So you just I'm going to get rid of this. It says read and write. I'm going to publish this, and this is going to be my rules. It again gives us a warning that our security rules are defined as public, so anyone can steal, modify, or delete data from your database. I understand that this is very bad, but for our purpose, this is what we are going to do. And once we are done with our application, we can change our rules so it becomes more secure. Indexing, this in case if you want to use search easily, you can index some of the key value pairs. So Firebase can sort these keys better. And again, the usage shows how much you are accessing the database. And finally, moving to storage. This is like big storage folder, because in database you have each file size, I think it's limited to 1 megabyte. But if you have a bigger files like pictures or videos or other documents, you can save them in a storage. So we're going to get started. And again, this asks us default rules. And for the storage, as you can see, the default rules, it says if authentication is not equals to null, which in English means the user has to be logged in order to access the database. So let's click next and click OK. The current rules for the storage is perfectly fine for us, because anyway, whenever we are uploading or downloading files from the storage, we are going to have our user signed up. So here, once we create our files, we're going to have different folders here with the different files inside. So this is our database for our big files. Again, you have the rules. If you want, you can just even copy these rules, and you can go to your database and go to rules, and you can change them here. Actually, it gives you more security. So your user has to be logged into the account. As you can see now, the warning disappears because the current rules are more secure than just have open access for everyone. Also, it keeps track of the rules you have changed, so you can see whenever you did some changes to your rules. Right, so this is it for Firebase database setup. Once we get start using it, I'm going to explain what we are exactly doing with each part of our code. And also you can check out the documents here by clicking the documents. So you can have, for our case, iOS, get start for iOS, and you have all the options here, what you can do with sample code, etc. With some even video tutorials how to do certain things.